afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Joint U-Resources Discovery Week 2026 webinar, From Search to Citations, Optimizing Your U-Resources Research Workflow. I'm Venus from Hong Kong Baptist University Library. I will be your moderator for these training sections. This webinar is part of Joint U-Resources Discovery Week, and it is organized by the Learning Strategies Committee of Joint University Librarian Advisory Committee, JULAC. Throughout this week, a series of webinars will help you to enhance your research skill and make the most of the library resources. We are very happy that you can join us today. Before we begin, I would like to go through a few quick housekeeping notes. These sections will be recorded and will share with you later on. And if you have any questions during the presentations, please feel free to use Q&A features to raise your questions. We will answer them in Q&A sections. Also, you can find some useful access link in the chat box as well. After the Q&A sessions, I will share some information on how to win a quiz master prize, so stay tuned. Now, I will hand over to let me introduce our speaker for today. We are happy to have Mr. Chris Chen with us. Chris is a university librarian of Hong Kong Baptist University Library and the chair of the JULAC Learning Strategies Committees. So Chris will demonstrate how you can streamline the research workflows using the tools provided by the library. Without further ado, let's welcome Chris. Chris, hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Venus, and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much. My thanks as well for joining us for this session, which, as Venus introduced, is called From Search to Citation, Optimizing Your e-resource research workflow. And it's a little bit different from most of the other sessions in this week, in that most of the other sessions are resource vendors coming to show you their particular resources, and there are many, many varied and wonderful resources that you can learn more about during this week. But in this session, I kind of wanted to focus on some of the tools that your libraries provide to enhance your overall research workflow. And just to break the ice a little bit and get you thinking a bit, I have prepared a little Mentimeter here. So feel free to scan that QR code, or alternatively, you can go to menti.com and enter in the code that you see on the screen. And as you can see, it's just a little question for you. Where does your research process usually break down? I kind of want to see where people are, I don't want to say struggling, but where people wish they could have a little bit more support. Maybe just to make that a bit easier, I've popped menti.com into the chat, so you can just click there. But I can see many of you don't need that. You've already scanned the QR code, and 36 of you at least, and a lot of responses are coming in. So I've put, obviously these options are not exhaustive, but things like, I don't know where to start searching. I mean, I find good things, but then I can't get the full text, or there's just so much information, I lose track of it. Maybe formatting your references just takes a long time, which is really tedious, especially at the end of the writing process. And of course, I always include the all of the above option. So 32 of you have responded already. Let's go ahead. I mean, it's not there's no right or wrong answer. Let's see what people are saying. So, it's kind of an even spread. People don't know where to start. Promising papers, but no full text. I guess this is interesting. I wouldn't have guessed this, but the least popular area of difficulty is formatting your references. Wow, I guess we have a lot of expert citation people here. But although the most popular option there is all of the above, so people, some struggling there. Well, that's as expected, and for every answer, I hope you can take something from today's workshop, because that's exactly what this workshop is aimed at helping you with or providing support with. So let me set the scene a bit more in terms of why your research workflow matters. So I've had the benefit of working in an academic library for almost 20 years. So I've had a lot of experience helping people with their research. And obviously I was a student myself at some point in the distant past. So, I have experienced this firsthand. And there are a lot of common issues. The first one there, I have to admit, this has happened to me before, lost sources. Sometimes you find a good paper and you do your best to file it away so that you can find it again in the future. But sometimes, despite your best efforts, you just lose track of them. And then so finding them again, I've had those situations where I kind of half remember the title of the paper and, I spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to find that same paper again. So you don't want to lose time searching for things you've already found. The second one there, paywalls and formatting. Although a lot of information is available for free, a lot of the best information, certainly in academia and in scholarly communication, is still behind a paywall. And even when it isn't, to be honest, a lot of the tools that will help you find content quickly, those are also paid tools. And we've also mentioned formatting, manual referencing, or manually putting together your reference lists can slow you down too. So the key message I want participants to take away from this session is that your library has you covered in all of these areas. We have a lot of institutional tools that can help with each of these pain points when it comes to organizing information, breaking through those paywalls and formatting your references. And you can put these together into a single workflow. And so hopefully you go from kind of getting lost in the maze of information, trying to figure out where your workflow should take you, to something a little bit more organized. And all this is at zero extra cost. Your libraries invest a lot in terms of both staff time, but also monetary resources in making sure our students have these tools, these resources available to them. So it's a good thing you're here, because you'll be aware of these tools and where to find them. I'll be relying a lot on live demos as well in this session, so hopefully to show you these tools in action. Now, of course, this is pretty simple. Research can be messy, and I don't mean to oversimplify, but I'll be conceptualizing the tools that I'm going to show you this afternoon according to these three stages of a hypothetical research workflow. So the first stage being find, using library subscribed tools to find scholarly sources. And we have a lot of tools. So I'm only going to actually show you two of them this afternoon. And this is not exhaustive, but hopefully it gives you an example of how you shouldn't just rely on one tool, but make use of the various tools available to you. The two that I'm going to show you are, the first is Primo, which is the discovery tool that every JULAC library provides access to. And the second one is a tool called Cite, which I'm going to show you in a very specialized context, but I'll talk more about that later. The second one is, I think, very, very useful. Access, retrieving the full text, because this is something we often hear from students, from researchers. How do I get that PDF? I found a great article, but I keep hitting this paywall. How can I get full text access? And in the vast majority of cases, your library probably subscribes to the full text. It's about navigating the kind of complex subscriptions and infrastructure around that. So this tool called LibKey Nomad, which every JULAC library has, really helps to cut through that. And it's been very, very popular since we introduced it a few years ago. So if you've not already heard this, I'm going to quickly show you how it can really kind of make your life a whole lot easier. Last but not least, we'll talk about organizing sources and generating citations with a reference manager. The particular one I'm going to show you is EndNote, which most JULAC libraries subscribe to. Not all, but I will be mentioning some of the alternatives as well. So that's kind of the high-level view. So let's talk about the first one, which is Primo. Primo may be a name you've not heard before, but if you visited your library's homepage, hopefully you have used it. Venus has kindly popped in the link to your library's homepage into the chat, so you can check it out if you haven't already seen it. So each library brands it differently. At HKBU Library, we call it OneSearch. Other libraries will have different names for it, but actually it's common to all of the UGC libraries. So all the JULAC libraries use the same system because we've subscribed to it together. And the great thing about using your library's search tool is that it totally short circuits that pain point that we talked about, which is not being able to find the full text, because anything in OneSearch, your library has a subscription to it. Well, at least if you use the full text online filter, which I'll show you in a second. And Primo is designed for libraries, is designed for university research. So there are all sorts of smart filters that you can use, narrowing by resource type, by the date of publication, and also, importantly, availability online. And because it is your library search tool, it does include print material. Now, I know in our e-resources discovery week, we're very much focused on the e-resources, but I don't want to completely ignore our print resources, because for certain disciplines, for humanities, history, social sciences, the print materials are important and relevant too, and Primo will cover those. So let me dive into my first live demo. So over here, I have, again, HKBU Libraries OneSearch open here. So I'm going to just do an example search, something that's pretty, I'm going to not use the quotation marks here. Social media use in adolescent mental health. In the news recently, you may have heard Australia has banned under 16s from using social media, which is controversial. And I think there was an Asian country recently announced this. Was it Indonesia? I can't quite remember. But this is a big topic because there's this discourse that social media is having really negative outcomes on mental health, especially among young people. So what does our library have? So when you do a search, now, the first thing I tell people when you're using OneSearch, sign in, and OneSearch itself will always prompt you, sign in to get the best out of OneSearch. So I strongly encourage you to do that. It will always just be your institutional login. We stop talking so I do this correctly. Here we go. And once you're logged in, you can do a lot of neat things, which I'll show you in a second. But the first thing I wanted to show you, again, briefly, is that one I mentioned, which is the full text online. Sometimes you're in a hurry. You just need a few good articles, right? So first thing to do is just limit the results to stuff that's available full text online, and that will get rid of any print resources, and also anything that you might have to go through a little bit more trouble to get. Now, when you're starting out with a topic, I would encourage you to look for review articles. Review articles are ones that kind of give you a broader overview of a topic. And as you can see, there are many, many filters here, which I will not go through one by one. But resource type is an important one. And just to explain a little bit about the default settings for OneSearch, I've just turned on full text online, but one other thing I can do here is also limit to review articles and apply that filter as well. Now, so here's one. You may notice this one is a different color. Why, you might ask? Because I've logged in. it remembers what I did in my little practice session that I did a couple of days ago. It actually remembers that I've pinned this article. So remember I said at the beginning, one problem that I used to have was losing results, right? Oh, I found something really fantastic, but then a few days later when I come back to it, I can't remember exactly what it was. When you're logged into OneSearch, you can save things. So there's this little pin icon here. You can just add items. You can see it flies up into my favorites, and you can review all of that at your leisure. So just one of the many features to make your life a little bit easier in OneSearch. Last thing I want to have a quick look at, I'm just going to reset all of my filters. Now, I know that I said, oops, not Library Home, OneSearch Home. I know that I said that one of the key advantages of OneSearch is that you can be sure you have the full text, but it also enables you to go beyond your library's collection as well. And you can see the messaging up here. Didn't find what you were looking for. Click here to search beyond HKBU Library's collections. And because, again, this is a shared platform, shared not just by JULAC libraries, but indeed by hundreds of libraries around the world, we do have the capacity to request journal articles, book chapters, and indeed even entire books from other libraries. And again, if you're logged in, it's quite easy you can see here in the first result here, requests from other libraries. And yeah, it's as easy as putting in a couple of clicks. So you can see a requested digital copy, estimated delivery time, 24 hours. It may take a little bit longer. As you can see, they're usually delivered by email. I'm not going to click request because I don't want to trouble my colleagues with a fake request. Now, I'm going very quickly through all of these features, so I'm actually going to leave Primo for a second there, but hopefully gives you an idea, some grounding of what your library's search tools can do. And if you have questions about your library's instance of Primo, you can, of course, contact your librarians for help. But, I've very quickly gone through, do I want to request this article, this full text article? One thing students often come to us and ask is, well, how do I actually know this article is useful, right? Because in something like Primo, if we don't have the full text, like I have the title, I might have a summary, but how do I actually know that this will be a useful article for me? It's hard to tell from the abstract. And even if you can access the full text, there are so many articles, potentially in your paper where you're maybe going to cite 10 or 15 articles. How do you choose from the hundreds or thousands of results which one is the one that you actually want to cite in your work? So that's why I want to go on to our next tool, tool number 2, which is Cite. Now, we have invited the folks from Cite to come and do a full workshop later this week. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. If you want to find out more about Cite and especially the AI assistant aspects of Cite, I encourage you to register for that workshop. But for this little bit of sharing, I want to show how Cite can give you some idea about how impactful a paper was. And that's through citation counts. So you may already be familiar with this concept of citation counts when we're talking about, well, how impactful is a paper? One proxy for that is how many times has that paper been cited by other journal articles or other academic sources? The idea being that if a paper has been cited many, many times, it's probably really important. A Cite does that, but it does something a little different, a little bit more special. It will actually, using its algorithm, will determine whether the citations to the article are one of 3 categories, and I put them here. Whether those citations from other papers are supporting, in other words, oh yes, this is this paper is saying this is a good paper. The findings are useful. We agree with the findings. Whether it's just mentioning, which is kind of very neutral, or whether indeed it is a contrasting citation. So to demo that, I will actually go into Cite and go to the search. And actually, what I'm going to do is go back into OneSearch because I want to show you. Let's actually pretend that this is a something we're doing here. So here's an article: Social Media Use in Adolescent Mental Health, Findings from the UK Millennium Cohort Society. So how would you, like, I'm potentially interested in this article. Oh, maybe it's a good one for my paper. But I have no idea, has it been, oops, this is not the right one. Has it been well referenced? Is it something that other scholars have found to be useful? So how would I find this in Cite? The best way to do that is to look for something called the DOI, which you can usually find in the catalog record here under details. You can think of a DOI, a digital object identifier, as something like an ID card number. So it's unique to each paper. And as you can see in Cite, you can search by title, which is a little bit less accurate, but as you can see, you can also search by DOI, which hopefully works. And yes, you can see it has found that paper, and it has been cited, you can see, by a whopping 663 publications. So since this paper was published in 2018, it has been cited by 663 others, which, I mean, I'm no expert in this discipline or in this topic, but it seems to me like quite a high number. And here are the citation types that I talked about. So of the 600 odd citations, 43 are supporting, which means 43 of those papers are saying, yes, the results in this paper are good and we agree with them. Most of them are just mentioning, and to be frank, in most disciplines, most citations are just mentioning. They're not really saying one way or another whether they agree with the findings. And 7 of them are contrasting. And often those are the ones you kind of want to look at. You want to look at those papers that disagree with the findings of this paper, because that's often where the interesting stuff is in scholarship, where experts are disagreeing about something. So I have filtered them to these 7 citation statements. So there are 7 citations from 5 different publications. So you can see here, based on its algorithm, there's 99% confidence that this is a contrasting citation, and you can get the little snippet of exactly where the mention was made of this paper. So I think this tool is potentially a real time saver, because that's often what you're doing in a paper, is looking for those points of contention between experts. And this allows you to kind of pinpoint those much more efficiently than you might otherwise do, just browsing papers manually. So again, gosh, my time is going so quickly because I love these tools so much, but I better leave it there. My key message here is that, the citation count alone, if I get rid of that, citation count alone can be a little bit misleading, and Cite can give you some insights into what those citations actually mean. So I would encourage, if you find a paper in Primo or somewhere else, check it out in Cite before you cite it. If you get my meaning there, check it in Cite with an S before you cite it in your paper, because it can give you some insights into the kind of lineage of its arguments. Again, Cite will be having a full webinar later this week, so do sign up for that, or check out the recording later if you want to learn more about this interesting tool. I will move on now. So that's kind of the discovery phase, finding things. And those are just 2 tools. We have many, many more tools than that at our libraries, but those are 2 really interesting ones. I want to come to stage 2, which is accessing, which is a really common frustration in student research, which I've alluded to earlier. It's a real problem. You find the perfect paper. Oh, this is going to be perfect for my research. And then you hit that awful paywall that says, oh, you want to read the full text? Well, that'll be $50, my friend. And you say, no, don't pay. Please do not pay money for academic articles, because as it says there in point 2, our libraries invest a lot. Your library probably already has access, and you just need to find the path to where we have access to it. And even if your library doesn't have access through interlibrary loan, which I mentioned before, you can usually get, we can usually get it for you for free. And really the solution to all of this is libkey Nomad, which is a free browser extension that allows one-click full text access to our subscriptions. And actually, this tool is embedded in Primo. So this is a bit small, but yeah, you probably can't see. But if you look at the actual URL for downloading the PDF, I'll just click briefly. You can see it's libkey. So actually, even within Primo, libkey is there, that you can see the name, and it's taking me to the full text. You know, I have to verify that I'm a human being, etc. You know, because, oh, wow, it really doesn't think I'm a human. I must appear very robotic. So that's, so you can see, libkey is actually embedded in Primo. Actually, libkey is in some of our other databases too. Do we have the Yes, here's the PDF link here. Again, you probably can't see the URL down there. If I click there, even in Cite, we have set up our libkey with Cite as well. So you can actually find this tool in many library databases. But I know, hopefully after today, you'll all be using library databases for your search. But I know some people are not using library tools for their search. But even then, even in that situation, we can give you the gift of libkey through a browser extension called libkey Nomad. So even if you're using Google Scholar, which I don't recommend you do, but if you insist on using Google Scholar, or if you're going directly to publisher websites, if you're browsing Wikipedia, we can give you access to libkey Nomad, and it's in the form of a free browser extension. And Venus has already very quickly put the link to where you can download that extension. If you haven't already got it, do it now. Do it while I'm talking, because it is that useful. And it's available for every browser, Safari, Firefox, even ones I've never heard of, Vivaldi. And let me just demo a little bit for you what libkey Nomad can do for you. So I actually have it installed already. There it is. But what I'm going to do is actually turn it off to show you the difference. So I'm actually going to pause it. And so Nomad status has changed. If I so Nomad is paused. I'm going to go to PubMed. If you're not familiar with PubMed, it's a database from the National Institutes of Health in the United States. It's a very good database. It's one I would actually, if you are interested in health sciences, etc., it's a good one to use, unlike Google Scholar. I'm just going to do the same search that I did in Primo. And it's a great database. It's good for searching, and for free articles, it's good. But sometimes they're not free articles. And if you're not, because this is not a library subscribed tool, it can be hard to navigate to the full text. So what I'm going to do is show you, once you have libkey Nomad installed, and if it is active, by the way, you just need to choose your library there. You can just search for your library. This is all the setup. You can see Hong Kong, CUHK, CityU, PolyU. We're all there. We're all offering libkey Nomad access. And then if I refresh my browser, you can see, look at all of these buttons that have appeared in my PubMed results list. All of these download PDF, and even, this is so convenient, view the complete issue. So this basically means take me to the journal itself, and this is in something called Browsine, which is a related product, and let me see that issue of the journal in context and sort of show, so I can browse the journal itself. So there's a lot of value add coming from libkey Nomad. So it's a really, really a wonderful tool. You'll see this little pop-up come up whenever you're in a libkey Nomad enabled zone. Okay. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to show you too. Another value added thing, which is that libkey Nomad will warn you if you are looking at an article that has been retracted, which can be very useful. Oops, that doesn't look quite right. Let me do this. Nope, nope. I think I have some extraneous stuff in my link. Here we go. That should work. So, and I'm using this as an example because it is the most famous retracted article, the 1998 paper by Andrew Wakefield, which made the, turns out, erroneous link between the MMR vaccine and the triggering of autism in children. So you probably have heard of this. This article was retracted because of obvious concerns around the science. But you can see in this case, the libkey nomad button, it actually says article retracted. And if, say, somehow you weren't getting to this article, via PubMed, if you were getting it from somewhere else, if you accidentally clicked on the link and you got to this part where it's loading the PDF, instead of loading the PDF, it will show you this. It will warn you this article has been retracted. It will give you links to the retraction notice, related links, and it'll even summarize the reasons why it was retracted. And in this case, a lot of reasons: falsification of data, et cetera, et cetera. Now, of course, if you want to read the paper, you can still do so. It will still allow you to download the PDF or take you to the article, but it really is a great, very clear warning to you that, oh, be careful with this paper because it has been retracted. And of course, you wouldn't have had a problem with this one. This one is very famous, but there are many places where you can see or where you can actually find retracted works being cited. One interesting example I found is here in this Wikipedia article. I don't know why my links are misbehaving. I'm just going to click there instead. So you can see here, and I mentioned libkey nomad works in Wikipedia. So if you look at the reference list of the Wikipedia article where you can, where the reference has a PDF, you can see the download button. But you can see here, another red one. So in this particular Wikipedia article, a retracted article has been cited. So again, libkey nomad will warn you on these occasions. So very useful. I can't recommend libkey nomad highly enough. It connects you to all of your library's subscriptions, no matter where you are. Now, again, my tip there, we don't have absolutely everything. So it could be the case, even with libkey nomad, you're not able to find the full text. In those cases, just ask at your library about interlibrary loan, which is where your library will go to another library that does have a subscription and get a copy of the article for you. Very good. I'm just going to pause here to see if there are any questions. No questions so far. Remember, just a reminder, if you do have questions about anything, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box. Let's move on to our final tool this afternoon, which is to do with referencing. So I know I've put stop formatting references by hand. Now, I'm not saying that you're handwriting your references. What I mean here is manually. So the pain of manually copying and pasting. Now, of course, many tools like OneSearch, another good example, they do have the citation feature where you can generate the citation for an individual article or book. That's all useful. But copying and pasting that, putting it into your paper, reformatting it, there's a lot of scope there for errors or just losing things. When you're copying and pasting from your browser into a Word document or whatever. So I'd strongly encourage all students, no matter what level, to invest in and learn about reference managers. So that is really the fix. I can't remember the last time I wrote a paper without a reference manager. So they've been around for a long time. I wouldn't recommend doing a paper of any length without using a reference manager, because what these reference managers allow you to do is collect organize and format your references and automate a lot of those processes to the point where if you're using them, if you're using their features to the full, you can do crazy stuff like just switch your citation style across an entire document with one click. Now, as I mentioned, many JULAC universities provide a tool called EndNote, which is probably one of the most well-known reference managers. It's been around for literally decades. And you can check. I think, yes, Venus has already popped in the links. The only exception is if there's anyone here from Education University of Hong Kong, I'm afraid you don't have access to EndNote, but don't worry, you have access to a very, very similar tool called RefWorks. I'm just sorry that my live demo will not apply directly to you, but the concepts will, because RefWorks does pretty much the same stuff. So let me do a demo of this tool. Now, again, because of time, I'm not going to give you the full demo. And indeed, for EndNote and for RefWorks, libraries usually provide full, more complete workshops at frequent points during the semester. So if you want to learn more, ask at your library. But just to give you the gist of what EndNote can do, I'm actually going to go back to Primo. Because remember, I said that these tools help you from the beginning, not just to generate the references, but to collect them so you don't lose them again. So I'm going back to this article that we checked the citations in Cite. You can see here, one of the options here is to export to EndNote Web. Now there's a little bit confusing. There's two different EndNote links. One will download a file, which you can import into EndNote Desktop, but this other one, which I'm going to show you, actually exports the reference into the web version of EndNote. Oh, by the way, for EduHK users, in your Primo, in the EduHK Primo, there's a RefWorks button. So same thing for RefWorks. I'm going to click on EndNote Web. Hopefully, I'm still logged in. Yes, I am. So you can see it has Primo import results, number of records imported, 1. Great. So then I can go back to my references and look at the unfiled ones. And I can see, there it is, social media use and adolescent mental health, findings from the UK Millennium Cohort study. So that is now in my EndNote library. And there's all sorts of things you can do, organize into folders, etc. But again, in the interest of time, I will not go into that. What I do want to show you, first of all, I will put it into my demo folder just to be organized. There we go. And what I will do is stop sharing that and actually share Microsoft Word, if I can find it. Here it is. Oh, my Microsoft Word has disappeared. Bear with me. Here it is. All right. Now, full disclosure, and again, because of time, and I don't want to get too far into the technicalities, EndNote Desktop is running in the background because that's necessary. And in fact, one thing I need to do is sync my EndNote Desktop to make sure everything is present and correct. So once you have installed EndNote, you will be able to, in Microsoft Word, you'll have a tab here. So you can see these are the normal sorts of tabs that you have in Microsoft Word, but right at the end, added will be EndNote 2025, the latest version. So from here, here's my demo document. So it's some made up text about how wonderful libraries are, which is all true. The citations don't actually correspond to what I've written there. But once you have that, I'm going to actually just show you we imported that reference. And what you can do is insert citation. Oh, I hope you can see the pop-up, but I'm typing in the name of the author, which was Kelly, and then just inserting that there. And you can see Kelly has been added, and more, even better, Kelly has also been added to the reference list as well. So this really, I can't emphasize how much time this has saved me when it comes to writing papers, and just and especially for longer papers, longer manuscripts, where maybe you're doing your dissertation or something. It helps ensure that what you cite in your text matches, with what you're citing in your reference list. Because if I remove something, if I take out that Kelly reference, so delete that. I just need to click on update my citations and bibliography. So right now it's still there. Kelly's still there. But if I click on update the bibliography, it will take it out of the reference list. So there's, nice consistency there. Really important. And as I mentioned on the slides, you can also just switch style. So, your professor suddenly says, we're going to use MLA style instead. You can just switch reference style on the fly. So really, really useful, and something, as I said, I really couldn't do without these days. Okay. And I think that more or less brings me, this is just a summary of EndNote. So you saw those items demoed there, importing from Primo with a single click, no need to type or copy and paste anything. Organized by project. I didn't have a chance to show you this in great detail, but you can have project folders, group them by reference. And one EndNote 2025 has some AI features as well, which I haven't had a chance to explore yet, but it looks like it can do things like provide an AI summary of papers that you save to your EndNote library. So I'm interested to learn more about that, actually. Cite while you write, which I just demoed. So inserting in-text citations into Word as you draft your paper. And last but not least, switching styles instantly. Now, I think my tip there is really important, which is doing this from the beginning, right from the beginning of a project, not halfway through, and certainly not the day before it's due, is really important, because that enables you to build up your library, stay organized, and when it comes to writing your paper, you're just inserting those citations as needed. So I showed you EndNote. EduHK provides access to RefWorks. There are some free alternatives as well. So if you're not married to any particular reference manager, Zotero is a well-known free one, as is Mendeley. So there are alternatives if after trying out EndNote or RefWorks you're not satisfied with it for whatever reason. Okay, so bringing that all together, hopefully you can picture how that works, and you can see, hopefully in the demos, you can find something in Primo, all of your library's holdings in one place. You can use tools like Cite to help you narrow down and look up the citations and say, this one's got a lot of contrasting citations. This is something I might want to explore more, evaluate how it's used in the literature. Access the full text with one click with LibKey Nomad. And for those that you do select for inclusion in your paper or for your research more broadly, organize that in your EndNote library. When it comes to writing your paper, use EndNote to generate those citations with much less pain. So my core point is that these tools work best when they're used together, used in harmony. Their impact is amplified when you use them together. And all of them are available to you right now. And that's something at all of our libraries we're always concerned about. We want to make sure that our students know that we have these tools. It's always not upsetting is too strong a word, but I've had experiences over the years where I show something like EndNote to a year 4 student and they're like, why wasn't I told in year 1 about these tools? Because they know after 3 years of university how painful it is to do a reference list unaided. That's why we're very, we think these events like this are really important to get the word out. So please do tell your friends and colleagues as well if they didn't have a chance to attend the events this week. Speaking of this week, I know Venus is going to give us some more housekeeping on this, but I did want to add my own encouragement to you to attend some of the other webinars. I attended the Gale Primary Sources webinar this morning. I thought it was very useful and interesting, and we've got even more over the course of this week. We also have booths, physical booths that you can visit if you have access to CityU or HKBU Library. And don't forget about the quiz. Venus will tell you all about how to be eligible for the quiz. And last but not least, go directly to your library. I had to speak in quite general terms because we have 7 libraries participating in eResources Discovery Week. But your library will have specialized tools, and your librarians will be able to guide you as to the specific way to install these tools and other tools that they have. So please do make the most of this week and afterwards as well. So at that point, I've kept the timing pretty good. I have left exactly 10 minutes for any questions